If you love chilling mysteries, unsolved cases, and a touch of mom-style humor, Moms and Mysteries is the podcast you've been searching for. Hey guys, I'm Mandy.
And I'm Melissa. Join us every Tuesday for Moms and Mysteries, your gateway to gripping, well-researched true crime stories. Each week, we deep dive into a variety of mind-boggling cases as we shed light on everything from heists to whodunits. We're your go-to podcast for mysteries with a motherly touch. Subscribe now to Moms and Mysteries wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm telling you, it's totally underrated.
Venom with Tom Hardy.
I mean, okay, it's not perfect, but imagine they could do 2 or 3 movies with Woody Harrelson as Carnage. It's going to be so good, man.
Dude, he's like 60.
You're like 60.
Oh, there they are. Buddy. What up?
Friends.
Hey, guys. What's with the boutonnieres?
Oh, these large boutonnieres that we're wearing. We just felt like dressing up. Just
Don't
ignore
even worry
them.
about it. It's fine.
I don't
even think about them. What are you looking
But
at?
hey, enough about us. How are you guys? Better yet, what are your guys' secrets? To podcast stuff. Let's talk about that.
What are our secrets to podcast stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I feel like we don't talk about that
Right?
very much, So maybe
Clearly. Clearly, very
in
loudly.
the boutonnieres, please.
Into the
just
boutonnieres.
talk into those.
Okay, I see what's happening here.
You do?
Yeah, this week is we're doing the episode about Robert Hanssen, who, despite clumsily revealing himself to be a spy several times, didn't get caught.
I mean, it's...
and you guys want to make sure you do the best job possible. Really make it sing, huh?
Yep. That's it. You got it. You caught us. Yep.
Hey, what can I say? I'm a hard worker.
That is us.
Yeah. That's what I always say about you. Yeah. Okay. So the first secret to podcasting is turning your microphone on.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's useful. On. That has an on switch. Look at that.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm No Illusions, and you can think of me as your handler for this evening, but you, dear listener, are too hot to handle alone, so I'm going to need a few assets. First up, 2 men who think double agents means they have twice the cream filling in the center, Tom and Eli.
Okay, Noah, if letting the Ayatollah and James Bond Eiffel Tower me was the wrong way to gather intelligence, then I don't want to be right. I don't want to be right.
I feel like twice the cream that's just lose-lose. That's just...
And also joining us tonight are 2 guys who have asked the DMV clerk which line is for the license to kill, Heath and Cecil.
Yeah, Ohio has that line at Dick's Sporting Goods, so
that's
I have to go to the DMV.
Yeah, they always point me towards the police academy. Huh.
Oh, yeah, right. You're in Chicago. I forget. Now, of course, before we get started, I wanted to take a second to thank our patrons. If it wasn't for them, I couldn't get the rest of my dental work done, and I would always sound like this. If you'd like to learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around to the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Eli, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
We'll be talking about incredibly successful failed spy, Robert Hanssen.
Jesus Christ.
All right, so Tom, you stared at a lot of words about this subject.
I did.
Or a medium amount of words.
true.
I don't know. Are you ready to be debriefed?
No, I come debriefed every show. It's standard.
Really didn't want to know that. Okay, so
Commando.
who was Robert Hanssen?
Okay, well, generally, I like to start off these stories by highlighting any thematic elements from the story that feel particularly germane to the state of our world now. I try to find parts of these stories that cross time and touch in some way on the climate of the moment, or which describe some part of our zeitgeist. And well, this story, it does all of that. I have to admit that the light that the story shines on the state of current affairs, it shook me a little. This is the story of Robert Hanssen, former FBI agent and the longest known spy to betray America. I say known because, as you'll learn from this story, there is absolutely no reason to feel confident that basically the entire FBI isn't just a massive employment agency for Russian spies.
Based on how well they're doing at everything, they aren't even trying is a comforting thought when you think about it.
Yeah, that's right. Double agents or no, they were all working for Russia during the Trump administration.
What are emails, though? Come on. Yeah.
So Hanssen was born right here in my hometown of Chicago.
Sorry.
That was like a real argument somebody had, too. That's the saddest part about the whole thing is the buttery.
That's why we had that.
That's real.
It's been so many years, guys.
So Hanssen was born right here in my hometown of Chicago in 1944. There's not a lot of detail on about his childhood or early life other than his dad being both a cop and emotionally abusive, a pair of details which seems both self-evident and redundant. After high school, Robert went to Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois, and earned a nerd degree in chemistry in 1966, after which his first attempt to work in government spying failed when he applied to the NSA to be a cryptographer and did not get the job.
So you're saying he couldn't crack it?
Don't
do that.
It's terrible. Don't do that. Naturally, he pivoted from failed cryptographer with a chemistry degree and enrolled in dental school at Northwestern University. But since he wasn't a claymation elf, he abandoned that line and again shifted his focus to business and earned an MBA in accounting and information systems. In 1971.
Yeah, back when you could get a college degree for a couple Sizzler coupons and recovered couch change.
Yeah, right.
Now he'd have, if he had that many degrees, he'd have Sally Mae Dibsey's tattoos on both arms and one leg.
He worked as an accountant for a year before quitting, because that sounds terrible, and followed in his father's footsteps, joining the Chicago police as a forensic accountant in their internal affairs department.
Forensic accountant for internal affairs. That sounds like the place kicker of the police, right?
This too proved not to hold lasting appeal, and he again pursued work with the federal government in security, this time successfully. In 1976, the FBI made an unbelievably enormous mistake and hired Robert Hanssen. It would take them an unbearably long time, but they would come to deeply regret that decision.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation. Strike 3 for white guys since 1908.
A quick note. While at Northwestern, Robert Hanssen met and married Bernadette Bonnie Walk. This detail isn't super important, and it is not going to come up again in the broader context of the story. So I'm actually going to go hijack here the timeline of the story to offer some details from their relationship, and I'm going to do it for a reason.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Tom. It's just not just a power move.
Not just fucking
Now I'm going to list all the shoes he owned, motherfuckers.
because you, the listener, will just listen.
Here's what they always ordered on Wednesday night. There you go.
So most of the detail I can find focuses so much on what Robert did in terms of all the spying we're going to talk about, but they don't really get into who he was. And I think that's important stuff. And knowing a little bit about what kind of person he was in his personal life actually explains a lot of his behavior in his spying life.
Okay, well, like, so far, the theme of his life seems to be failing at ever more shit. So I'm going to guess that marriage was solid.
Yeah, you guessed
Killing
right.
it.
So who was Robert Hanssen? The man, and not just the spy. Well, on the outside, he was fairly normal. He had a bunch of boring kids, and they did boring life stuff, and they went to church a lot. But Robert was a total freak. Unbeknownst to Bonnie, Robert would sometimes invite his buddy Jack, and I am not even kidding about the name, to secretly watch through the bedroom window while Robert and Bonnie had sex. And I guess after some time, that wasn't enough, and so Robert moved on to secretly videotaping his sexual activity with his wife and sharing the tapes with his buddy Jack. And then somehow that too proved not to be enough, so he rigged a hidden camera in his bedroom to a closed-circuit TV line so that Jack could watch clandestinely from the guest bedroom of his own house in real time while Robert and Bonnie were fucking.
Hey, honey, I found 2 of my menstrual cups connected by a string in your treehouse. Why?
It's weird that a cop would initiate body camera footage.
He starts fucking during Seinfeld. Seriously? 7:05 at Root. I'm DVRing your fucking. I'm DVRing it.
So Hanssen, the super secret spy who would elude the FBI for decades, he also frequented a DC area strip club, and he had a relationship with a stripper named Priscilla Sue.
That's
Priscilla
not a real
Sue.
name. That's not a real name.
It's not even a good stripper name either, though. Priscilla Sue accompanied Robert on a trip to Hong Kong. And I swear to you that I am not making this up. He even took her on a trip to tour the FBI's training facility in Quantico.
They do
That
tours?
relationship. Yeah, I guess it just
Seems like you don't do tours. Just don't do tours there.
bring your mistress to work day. I don't know how that.
It's actually
the
pretty
70s.
cool. Halfway through, you get attacked by a shark, and the guy's like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do? Let's profile black people throughout the 70s and 80s."
And still now.
Yeah.
So that relationship cost him $80,000 in money, trips, jewels, and a Mercedes, among other gifts. Now, I will admit, I am not a national security expert, but if I were looking for a spy, the guy who is into giving people secret videotapes and having secret relationships and who takes secret trips and spends tens of thousands of dollars on extravagant shit on an FBI agent's salary, that guy might be someone worth looking into.
Okay, but those are also good bullet points on the resume to be a spy. And the FBI was looking for a spy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but in this instance, I feel like they should hire Jack, right? Like, he's the one-
That's really crushing it.
That's a really good point.
So back to the spying. Remember that Hanssen was hired by the FBI in 1976. That's when he started work. So in 1979, he had moved to New York and was assigned to, of all things, compiling a database of Soviet intelligence for the counterintelligence unit. That same year, Hanssen approached the Soviet main intelligence unit and offered his services as a spy. Unlike other spies, Hanssen wasn't motivated by any political ideology. He just had a lot of fucking kids and he needed the money. And the Soviets were only too happy to accept.
Okay, how do you apply for that job? You just walk in and you're just like, I want to be a double agent. I'm not a triple agent. I promise I'm not that. I'm an even number of agents. It's even. And I would like to have that job, please.
Yeah, if anyone asks, though, I'm the square root of -1 number of agents, not a real agent.
All right.
It's an imaginary
his
number,
fir-
Eli.
It's a not real is what I was going for. But yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
He eats a Madeline and then he's gay.
Proust. Nailed it.
Man,
You know about things, too.
I'm doing my thing.
Yep.
You guys do yours.
Madeleines make you gay?
Apparently.
Huh.
If you're
According
also
to the
Madeline,
one sentence Eli knows about Proust when he's asked.
I love Madeleines.
Multiple
so
sentences.
big.
If I eat an even number of them, am I straight, though? Like, ooh.
Gay, straight, gay, straight. You put 2 in your mouth at one time, you're bi.
So during his first stint as a spy, Hanssen did a huge amount of damage to the United States at a time when the Cold War was in full swing. He provided the Soviets with details on who the FBI was bugging, and he provided lists of suspected Soviet intelligence agents. But the most significant damage was his betrayal of Soviet double agent Dmitry Polyakov. Polyakov was working as a CIA informant, and he was a big goddamn deal at the time in the Soviet Union. While working for the CIA, Polyakov rose up the ranks of the Soviet military leadership until he had become a general in the Soviet army. An asset like that, in 1979, would be of immeasurable intelligence value, and Hanssen ratted him out to the Soviets. The Soviets, after their mole was confirmed by yet another spy,
Jesus.
this time a traitor in the CIA by the name of Aldrich Ames, Polyakov was arrested and executed, though this didn't happen until 1986, likely because after Hanssen betrayed him, double agent Polyakov tried to save his own skin by working as a triple agent.
That's so easy. You just do that every time.
Triple agent.
Passing the CIA bad intel for 7 years before the Soviets finally got bored and killed him.
Yeah, see, that's why it's not a perfect plan. But for whatever it's worth, Hanssen right now is the hero in Russian Citation Needed's episode about Polyakov.
In 1981, Hanssen was transferred to D.C., where he was given access to even more sensitive information. In D.C., Hanssen was one of the first guys to be known within the Bureau as a computer expert, and he frequently annoyed his colleagues with his extremely ironic and accurate warnings of the poor security of the FBI's information systems and their over-reliance on paper files and not getting with the programs. By 1984, Hanssen transferred to the Soviet Analytical Unit. The Soviet Analytical Unit was responsible for, primarily, identifying and capturing Soviet spies.
Nice.
Robert's unit specifically was in charge of evaluating whether or not potential Soviet spies were the real deal or whether they were acting as redoubled agents.
We're so stupid. Okay, how many levels of like counter intelligence do we have in the United States? We need one more at least.
Clearly. We're so many levels down at this point. Agents are having karate fights on the ceiling. I mean, come on.
But seriously, every time you get caught, you just add one to your title. And I couldn't tell you guys because then the other guys would have known that I was not an odd number. Like, how do you ever get in trouble?
So naturally, Hanssen realized that he was now in the perfect position to make some more money selling out his country. In 1985, Robert wrote a fucking letter to the KGB offering to spy for them in exchange for $100,000. The letter was anonymous, as Hanssen was careful to keep his identity secret, so he had to prove he had the goods. And to do that, he included in his spy resume letter the names of 3 KGB agents who had been turned and were working for the FBI. 2 of these men were recalled to Moscow immediately and executed. The third was arrested and imprisoned for 6 years before being released under a general amnesty for political prisoners, and he eventually emigrated to the U.S.
So he was a Russian spy for 2 different Russian government agencies at the same time. This dude is the Hillary Clinton of treason, but, you know, with actual treason.
Despite losing 3 assets in very short order, Hanssen escaped detection because the same 3 guys, they had also been betrayed by the CIA traitor I mentioned before, Aldrich Ames. And since both Hanssen and Ames gave the Soviets the same info, it had the effect of not only verifying for them that Hanssen was in fact legit, but it also deflected attention from Hanssen when Ames was eventually caught. The timing of both agents inadvertently betraying the same people at the same time from 2 different agencies meant that Hanssen was able to operate outside suspicion for far longer than will make any sense at all.
Okay, see, this is why you need the blockchain. You need proof. Track of it.
Yeah.
Important.
I own this JPEG of you. There's more. You're my spy. No double.
Eastern blockchain.
That's great. Hanssen was then given the explicit assignment of finding out who the mole was that had betrayed the KGB double agents.
Really?
The ones he had himself just betrayed.
This story has so many more wacky farce elements than I was expecting.
That's a lot. So Hanssen's job was to wake up in the morning and go to work and investigate a crime that he himself not only committed, but which was committed to add veracity to his spy resume offer. So, of course, Hanssen not only didn't include his own name in the study of suspected spies for the FBI, but he also finished that study and then provided a copy of that study to the Soviets in addition to his bosses at the FBI.
Wow.
Hanssen, this is great. You turned in your report in English and Russian.
So this will come up in more detail later, but Hanssen was not some ultra brain super criminal who never made mistakes. In a just regular debriefing with a Soviet defector, Hanssen committed a serious security breach, and he revealed to the defector sensitive information. Robert's underlings noted the breach, and they reported it to their supervisor. But, and you will eventually notice a theme, no action was taken.
Okay, but how did your phone password even come up in conversation, Rob? I get the thing slip of why you were comparing? Why'd you go first?
In 1989, the FBI was investigating Felix Bloch, a State Department official suspected of and very likely guilty of espionage. We'll never know, though, because Hanssen tipped the KGB of that investigation. The investigation ultimately went nowhere, and Bloch was never charged with a crime, though he was fired and lost his pension. The FBI knew they had a mole in their department, but they did not yet suspect Hanssen.
All right. Well, if there's anything we know about the FBI, it's that they're going to need a minute, so we're going to take a quick break for a little apropos of nothing.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Yes, Hanssen, come on in. Hanssen, there's no easy way to say this, but some of your behavior has come under suspicion.
How so?
Well, for instance, all of your faxes seem to be CCs to this guy, Michael G. Who is that?
It's Mikhail, but yeah, he works in accounting.
You send top secret spy info to a guy in accounting named Mikhail G.
Yep. Yeah, just expense reports and stuff.
Okay, well, about the report you just turned in, list of American double agents.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, wrong office.
Wrong office.
This one was supposed to go to the expense reports.
I see. And the other day, when you left your diary out in the break room, open to a page that says, "I sure do love being a Russian spy." We thought that was a little...
Mm-hmm. That was a test, and whoever found it passed. Congratulations.
Hanssen, I gotta say, this is all pretty...
I found out a black guy in New York wants to buy a gun.
Hanssen, you're promoted. Get me all the info you can as quick as you can.
Will do, sir.
I just hope it's not too late.
And we're back. When we last left off, I was antagonizing the FBI on a Zoom call that's going to be published. So, Tom, tell me more about how incompetent they are. That helps. That's nice to hear.
Well, Hanssen kept up all his spying. He provided information on the U.S. intelligence efforts collected through radar, satellite, and spy intercepts, which that was all super important stuff. But he also totally blew the whistle on a spy project that is so wonderfully absurd that you are going to think I made this up. The Soviets were building a new embassy, and the FBI had, no shit, dug a tunnel beneath the building right up to and underneath the embassy's decoding room.
That's amazing.
The FBI planned to use the tunnel to hang out right under the fucking embassy and get all kinds of secret stuff for it. But they never did, because in exchange for $55,000, Hanssen blew the FBI's shit up and disclosed the existence of the tunnel, rendering it useless as an intelligence asset. He also periodically sold the Soviets lists of double agents so they could either be recalled and killed or turned from double agents into triple agents.
Okay. Some guy has to have the record for being a duo decouple agent or whatever it is. There's got to be some crazy amount of, and every meeting was the word. It was like a giant who's on first. It was duo decouple. What level are we on? Somebody, we got to line people up. We got to draw out a chart. Do you want me to want you to want? God, I lost it. It's too many.
In 1990, Hanssen's own brother-in-law figured out and told the FBI that Hanssen was the mole. He deduced this because the brilliant and elusive Robert Hanssen left a huge pile of fucking cash on the dresser, and his wife told her brother about it. And also because Bonnie told her brother Mark about how Robert hoped to retire to Poland, which in 1990 was part of the Eastern Bloc and not exactly on anyone in the West lists of hot places to retire.
Still isn't.
Hanssen's brother-in-law reported all of this to Hanssen's supervisor, who took no action.
Yeah. Well, his work attire also had an embroidered "Kick me, I'm a Russian spy" on the back of the suit coat, too. Yeah.
Right. He shows up to work every day with a giant Flavor Flav-sized KGB necklace on.
It's time for spying.
Brother turns them in and they're like, come on, man, be serious. Now, if you hear about any little old Jewish ladies that we can put to death very publicly, that is worth coming to my office. Let me know. Killed 2 old Jews because they were Jews. That's what we did. Right, Cohen.
The Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, and Hanssen paused his spying for a hot minute, probably out of fear that the upheaval and chaos would make his contacts less secure. That spyatus lasted a whopping...
I love it.
That's fantastic. Can we pause?
Spyatus. Brilliant.
Spyatus. Go ahead.
That spyatus lasted a whopping 10 months because that stripper wasn't going to pay for her own Mercedes, I guess.
No, wow.
No.
So Hanssen tried to reestablish contact with now Russia, and he was super smooth about the whole thing. So what he did is he went to the Russian embassy and he approached a GRU, that's formerly KGB, agent in the parking garage. And he was like, hey, man, my code name was Ramon. I'm totally legit. You should give me some money. The Russian agent didn't believe him and drove away.
Ramon sounds made up. That's ridiculous.
That was his code name. They so didn't believe him, actually, that they complained about it to the State Department, thinking that it was a super clumsy triple agent attack.
It's always
at this point, Hanssen had showed his face.
Figure it out.
He had disclosed his super secret spy code name. He told them, I'm from the FBI, and the State Department and the FBI, they didn't figure it out. More again, they didn't.
Just the entire FBI lined up in pairs. Okay. What would he say that he would say that the third one would say that is he a liar? Would he, the last guy, say that the original one was a liar?
At a certain point in the story, Hanssen had to think he had magic power, right? Like, there had to be a day where he walked around the office just picking up staplers, like, can anyone see me? I'm a spy. I'm a spy. Okay, free stapler. Free stapler today for Rob.
Robert was not a smooth operator back in the 80s, and he was not getting better at any of this. In 1993, he hacked into a coworker's computer, and he searched around to see if he could find any evidence that he was being investigated. And to cover his digital tracks before signing off, he printed some shit out from his coworker's computer, and he was all like, and this is a quote, "You didn't believe me when I told you the system was insecure." Even though nobody was amused by this, they believed he really was like white hat hacking and not just showing up to work a half hour late, holding donuts and pretending he didn't actually oversleep.
Right. Imagine if you tried that shit with anything else. I told you your wife's panty drawer wasn't secure, man.
You asked me, do you think my marriage is going well? I fucked your wife. You should be thanking me. Why aren't people logical?
In 1994, Hanssen attempted to transfer to the National Counterintelligence Center, but he was told after applying for the transfer that applicants would have to take a lie detector test. So he promptly withdrew his application. Again, just for those in the back, the FBI is actively looking for a mole, and this did not raise any red flags with anyone. In 1997, convicted FBI spy Earl Edwin Pitts told the Bureau that he suspected that Hanssen was also a spy. This was now the second FBI agent, one who was a fucking spy himself, and the other who was this guy's brother-in-law, who was like, dudes, it's Bob. And still, no action was taken and no investigation was launched.
Sorry, circling back. He applied for a position and they were like, oh, cool, here's the lie detector test coming up tomorrow. And he was like, nope, just kidding. Not applying for that. He made a U-turn at the spy sobriety checkpoint. And the FBI was like, yeah, no, he probably had to take a shit really bad or something. He's cool.
Well, also not for nothing, but you can fool a lie detector test by pretending you aren't lying. That's how hard it is. Also, you can fail one by telling the fucking truth.
Yeah, right.
In case you needed another example of what a super spy this guy wasn't. Yeah, couldn't fool a fucking polygraph.
Was not quite up to squeezing his butthole.
So the same year, Hanssen's computer got all fucked up. And now, when that happens at the FBI, they don't just send some guy named Carl from IT to come around and clear the cache. IT investigators from the National Security Division took one look at his computer. They ordered it impounded since it had been clearly fucked with. And when they looked into it, they discovered that Hanssen had installed a password cracking program on his fucking FBI work computer. And when they confronted Robert about the unauthorized hacking software clandestinely installed on an FBI computer, Hanssen told them, I love this so much. Hanssen told them that he installed it because I am not making this. He has a hard time installing a color printer without the admin password. So we just figured he'd install an illegal password hacking program onto his machine. He was let off with a warning, and no further action was taken.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, Bob, we also found this gold-plated silenced pistol in your desk.
I told you guys I was having problems with the printer. Okay, to be fair, though, to Hanssen, if anyone has worked in an office where an admin password matters at all, they all completely understand where Hanssen got it from.
Right.
Just
If you
have
need
them
it,
print
may
in black
actually
and
just
white.
be
Why
true.
do you need a color printer?
network printer.
For the
a network
graphs,
printer
this is where the
the
spying
worst.
on the graphs are.
I would literally betray my country before I would call Julie one more time to ask me. Kitty, 1, 2, 3. I'll kill you, Julie. I'll kill you with my bare fucking hands.
At this point, Hanssen felt comfortable that he wasn't under suspicion, and he connected again with the Russians. He continued to spy for 8 more years, and I do have to give him some credit here. Part of why he was successful was because even though he was a tech guy before there were tech guys, he kept his spy tactics very low-key and very low-tech. With the notable and dim-witted exception of his attempt to establish a new Russian connection after the collapse of the Soviet Union, he refused to meet his handlers in person. To pass information, Hanssen used a very old-school dead drop system and used a mathematical code when discussing dates for the drops. When it was time to deliver documents, he would take a garbage bag, full of secrets, to the underside of a wooden bridge and put a piece of white tape on a nearby sign to indicate that the drop had been made.
That's a normal thing for people to do. That's
just
not
standard.
conspicuous at all.
He never met or handed anything to anyone, and he never tried to pass information electronically.
Just him and Aldrich Ames walking up to the same sign. They're like, "Oh, hey, what do you? I'm just doing tape stuff. What are you doing?"
Also tape.
Also tape. Yeah, we're just taping it. You want to go halvesies on the tape from now on?
Again in 1994, the FBI and the CIA formed a joint mole hunting task force, looking for an operative they named Gray Suit. They formed a list of all the agents who had access to all the compromised operatives, and they began working through that list. Unfortunately, in 1998, they began relying on the FBI's criminal profiling techniques, which is completely unscientific nonsense, and so naturally led them to focus their efforts on the wrong guy. The task force became fixated on a CIA agent named Brian Kelly. The CIA searched his home, they tapped his phone, they bugged his car, and they put him and his family under constant surveillance. They were so convinced that they had their guy, they set what might be the most Bugs Bunny-esque trap that I have ever heard of. They sent a guy with a funny accent to walk up to Kelly at his house just one random day and tell him that the FBI knew he was a spy and to meet him at a metro station the next day to escape to Russia. Well, Kelly didn't meet him at the metro station and instead immediately called the FBI. The FBI, in turn, heavily interrogated Kelly and his entire family and put him on administrative leave, convinced that they had now found their mole.
Okay, he called the FBI right away. How was that not passing the test? How the fuck was he supposed to pass that test? Just sink to the bottom of a river to be innocent?
Way more than a duck.
Yeah.
Investigators finally made some progress after they spent $7 million paying disaffected Russian intelligence officers to dish dirt on suspected moles. This operation eventually yielded an audio tape of an unnamed FBI agent talking to a KGB agent. The voice on the tape was familiar to one of the investigators, but he couldn't place it at first, until upon reviewing the file, they found a note where the mole referred to an unbelievably racist quote favored by General Patton, which I am not going to relay here.
I Googled it. It's so bad.
That's so bad. FBI analyst Bob King was like, you know who else likes that quote? Robert Hanssen. And the other guy who knew the voice but couldn't place it, he finally had his eureka moment. They now knew the spy amongst them was Robert Hanssen, and they just needed to catch him in the act.
See, this is proof critical race theory is ruining the FBI, guys.
All right, so glad they got their man and all, but holy shit, this is nowhere near the most incriminating thing they have on this guy at this point.
Hanssen was immediately placed under intense, constant surveillance and promoted, kind of. They basically created a make-work job that looked like a promotion, but which kept Robert away from any sensitive information. And for his part at this point, Hanssen knew he'd been given a nothing job and that something was likely amiss, but he had no way to be sure. As part of his promotion, Hanssen was given an assistant, but the assistant was really, obviously, an FBI surveillance specialist who noticed that Robert used a Palm Pilot to organize his life. Eventually, Eric O'Neill, the fake assistant, stole the Palm, downloaded its contents, and returned it without Robert noticing. The Palm contained a treasure trove of damning information and confirmed the FBI's suspicions. But agents wanted to catch him in the act of actually spying, so they waited before pouncing. They waited more.
Yeah.
All right. He does have 200 events in his calendar titled Russian spy stuff, but that could be Pilates because that is also Russian spy stuff.
In 2001, Hanssen dropped off a friend at the airport and then headed to his dead drop location to make another delivery of betrayal. He followed his usual routine and taped a sealed plastic garbage bag beneath the usual wooden bridge and placed a white strip of tape on the sign. Confirming every detail of his process, agents rushed in a mere 21 years after Hanssen had begun betraying his country and caught him red-handed. Upon his capture, Robert himself asked, quote, "What took you so long?"
Jesus.
Fair question.
On February 20th, 2001, the FBI announced the capture of the longest known operational spy in American history.
Weird flex, but okay.
The case against Robert Hanssen, finally made, was unbelievably strong and damning. Facing multiple potential death penalties, Hanssen negotiated a plea bargain in exchange for 15 consecutive life sentences.
Yeah, sure, it wasn't Jewish.
Robert Hanssen is housed now at the ADX Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado, the same facility where El Chapo is currently awaiting his helicopter and tunnel-based rescue squad. And I don't feel at all safer, and you shouldn't either.
No.
All right, so if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, what would it be?
Remember, guys, if you see something, say something. Then move to an island nation in the Pacific to wait out the end of days.
Yeah, right. Why would you bother? Okay. Are you ready for the quiz?
Much readier than anyone at Quantico. Absolutely.
All right, Tom. What was the best title from Robert Hanssen's homemade video collection? A, The Porn Identity. B,
Nice.
For Your Brown Eyes Only. C, The Man from Spunkle.
Nice.
D,
Nice
Missionary
today.
Impossible. That one's obvious.
What?
E, The Man with the Golden Shower. And that's actually, that's how Trump got turned. And one more, option F, also a Trump favorite, Tinkle Taylor Soldier Spy.
These are all so good.
Excellent job.
These are all so good. It can't be Missionary Impossible. That one's just too obvious. It's got to be The Porn Identity.
Actually, no, it was F.
Nope.
We're
Okay.
changing the format. You're getting this one wrong. It was F.
Okay.
That was the best
Fuck
one.
me then. There we go. All right.
All right, Tom.
Yes.
Why is Russia so much better at spying than us? A, they occasionally ask Americans, "Hey man, you want to be a spy?" B, poison underwear is a better spy deterrent than letting you keep your job and giving you a plea bargain. C, our last 3 discovered spies have been like, "I'm a whistleblower, no backsies." And we've been like, "Okay, you're a whistleblower, no backsies.
I know you're right about these things.
You're on Twitter." D, America's best kept secret is the deep dish pizza.
Oh.
You're pandering.
Why are all
That's
these
just
upsettingly
pandering.
true? These are all upsetting.
I want to point out, okay, so Russia had this guy and still lost the Cold fucking War. Like, so they were worse somehow
did
than
they?
Long game, they're kind of crushing it right now.
Well, no, that's true. That's true. Round 2 goes to that,
Yeah.
but we
Eli, I'm going to guess the answer is yes. All
That
of
is
these.
correct.
Yes, I'm upset, but particularly D.
All right, Tom, this is sort of like bouncing a little off of Heath's question here. In his amateur home porn movies, Bob listed himself in the credits under this pseudonym that called out his physical traits. What was it? A, Crack Bleacher. It's like Jack Bleacher. Anyway. B, Cody Blanks. C,
Nice.
Saxwell Smart. Or
Saxwell
D,
Smart. Oh!
D, Jason Shorn. From The Shorn Identity. It's from that movie.
I gotta go D and kind of like bring it all in with the answer I got wrong with Heats. It's just I feel like it's connecting.
I'm sorry. It's Saxwell Smart. I'm sorry.
So
huge.
I was gonna.
Well, what right or wrong, Cecil was going to win for Saxwell.
Yeah,
Come on now.
That's fair.
Tinkle Taylor Soldier Spy's pretty fucking good too.
Tinkle is peeing.
The Man from Spunkle's my favorite, to be honest.
That is pretty good too.
I like that one a lot. Oh, I'm the winner.
Right.
Noah's the essayist.
There you go. All right. Well, for Cecil, Tom, Eli, and Heath, I'm Noah. Thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week. By then, I'm going to be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you already know what our other shows are, and my mouth kind of hurts, so I talk more. Speaking of which, dental work is expensive, and you can make a per-episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod or leave a 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes. Be sure to check out citationpod.com.
Hey, are you my contact?
Hey, yeah, you got the stuff?
You got the money?
Check your suitcase.
Check the file.
Wait, the file? Where's the Coke?
Coke? Wait, I'm so sorry. Are you a Russian agent?
Oh, no, man, I'm a drug dealer, bro.
Okay, is this the park and ride on 4th?
Oh, no. This is the park and ride on 5th. You want to go to the kitty corner. It's right over there.
Kitty corner, of course. Thank you so much.
Hey, man, no problem.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with your drug deal.
Hey, back at you, buddy. Good luck with your spy stuff.
You too.
Nice guy. Good luck.
I'm Edward Snowden.